Hi students, welcome to lesson number 33, overview of human development reports with special reference to India. Now let us start with the introduction. The National Human Development Report 2001 is an attempt to map the state of human development in India. While considering the state of human development and in particular the economic, educational and health attainments, the report analyzes the issue of governance for human development. A database at the national and state level, which includes the indicators on economic attainment, educational attainment, health attainment and demography, amenities, governance and the crime, is presented and analyzed for 2 points of time since 1980. To facilitate monitoring process, indicators have been presented. The Human Development Index, the Gender Disparity Index and the Human Poverty Index have been calculated, modifying the human development methodology. Now, let us look into the objectives. The lesson objectives are to study what is human development in general, to know the status of human development in India. Now, let us enter into the meaning of human development. The human development HD story of India is unique in its kind. Through the preparation on of not only the national, but also subnational human development reports HDR, India has centralized and integrated the human development concept into its development agenda at national, state as well as district and municipality level. More subnational HDRs have been produced in India than in any other country. More HDRs have been produced in India than the total number of global HDRs. A distinctive feature of HDR preparation on process is the firm, the state ownership and multi-stakeholder partnerships, and this has enabled policy dialogue on crucial HD issues. This document describes the human development story of India and aims at illustrating the policy impact of preparing human development reports and how the central HD concepts can go beyond the reports through various HD activities and contribute to sustainable policy impact in a country from a human development perspective. The document begins with a general introduction to the human development approach and the HDRs, followed by a presentation of how the HD concept and HDRs have been translated and evolved in the Indian context. The second section presents the Planning Commission, United Nations Development Programme, the partnerships on promoting human development at the state and district level through the preparation of state human development reports, and it follows up for strengthening state planning processes including preparation of district human development reports. In the third section, the policy impacts of HDRs are traced from the activities carried out under the projects, with particular emphasis on the strengthening state plans for human development. The fourth and concluding section summarizes the policy impact of HDRs in India, highlighting successful strategies for achieving sustainable HD and policy impact as well as the constraints reported by states. The document ends with suggestions for taking the GO UNDP cooperation forward to the next level for deepening and further integrating human development and enhancing the HD policy impact in India. Human development approach, which discusses on the concept of human development, which emerged in the late 1980s based on the conceptual foundation provided by Dr. Amartya Sen and Dr. Mahbub ul Haq, the HD approach puts people at the center of the development agenda, where economic growth and wealth are considered means to development and not end by itself. The starting point for the human development approach is the idea that the purpose of development is to improve human lives by not only enhancing income, but also expanding the range of things that a person can be and can do, such as be healthy and well nourished, be knowledgeable and to participate in community life. From this viewpoint, development is about removing the obstacles to what a person can do in life, obstacles such as lack of income, illiteracy, ill health, lack of access to resources or lack of civil and political freedoms. As expressed by Sen, the twin recognition that human beings can the fare far better and do much more to bring this about may sensibly be seen as two central theses of the human development approach. The first human development report defines human development as a process of enlarging people's choices to lead a long and healthy life, to be educated and to enjoy a decent standard of living are the three most critical choices identified in the first human development report. The additional choices include political freedom, guaranteed human rights and self-respect. The philosophical underpinnings of human development approach are not new. In ancient Greece, Aristotle said, "Wealth is evidently not good, we are seeking for it is merely useful for the sake of something else." However, during the Second World War era, the development agenda, however, centered on the growth rather than human well-being. The focus was on accumulation of physical capital through savings and investments for promoting industrial development. By the late 60s and early 70s, a general shift in the development debate started to take place, where more emphasis was put on social development rather than capital accumulation and growth. The basic needs approach was introduced, putting the basic needs of people such as access to basic education, basic health care, food, nutrition, water and sanitation on the agenda. Fulfillment of these basic needs was seen as a prerequisite for development. During the 80s, the global development agenda largely focused on expanding growth through various liberalization measures. The general perception was that liberalization would generate economic growth through the power of market forces, which in turn would benefit the poorer sections of society through the trickle down effect. Structural adjustment programs were carried out in order to streamline and adjust developing economies into liberalization on agenda, but the approach to a large extent failed to tackle the issue of poverty and inequalities. In addition, social ills such as crime, weakening of social fabric, HIV/AIDS and pollution continued to spread despite high growth rate introduced in 1990s as an alternate development. The paradigm that treats people as the real wealth of nations, the human development approach has become the prevailing development paradigm for the past 20 years. The first global human development report, which was launched in 1990 by the UNDP and has been prepared annually since then. Each year, HDRs address a theme highly relevant to the current development debate. They provide path-breaking analysis and policy recommendations and translated into more than dozen languages and are launched in more than 100 countries. Spurred by the global HDRs, regional, national and subnational HDRs have been prepared. These reports are regionally and nationally, subnationally owned and take the human development approach to the regional and country level. At the regional level, human development is put into a regional context and provides policy advice and promotes partnerships for tackling the human development themes of highest relevance and exigency in the region. At the national and subnational level, the multi-stakeholder approach in preparing the HDRs has contributed to sensitization of governments at different levels, civil society, academia and the public on the human development issues and challenges. In many countries, HDRs have become an essential tool for national and subnational policy making. So far, around 700 regional and national subnational reports have been prepared in over 140 countries and all address various regional, national and subnational specific approaches to tackle the current development challenges of poverty reduction, education, health and HIV/AIDS, human rights and gender, environment and effects of climate change, economic reform and globalization. Human development measurements, where 5 indices were used by the human development reports to measure progress on human development. The first human development report in 1990 introduced a new way of measuring development by combining indicators of life expectancy, educational attainment and income into a composite human development index, the HDI. The components are measured by 4 variables: the GDP per capita, the PPUSD, the literary rates percentage, combined gross enrollment ratio percentage and life expectancy at birth years. The composite index results between 0 and 1, of which 1 indicates high level of human development and 0 being no level of human development. Countries are consequently given a specific rank dependent on their success in achieving human development, presented yearly in the global HDRs. In 1995, the Gender Related Development Index GDI and Gender Empowerment Measure GEM were added to the reports as a response to the criticism that HDI did not capture gender inequalities. The GDI measures the same variables as the HDI, but calculates the components separately for women. The methodology used imposes a penalty for inequality such that the GDI falls when the achievement levels of both women and men in a country diverge or when the disparity between their achievements increases. The greater the gender disparities and the HDI discounted or adjusted downwards for gender inequality. The gender empowerment measures women's empowerment in public life through assessing the share of seats in parliament held by women, of female legislators, senior officials and managers, of female professional and technical workers, and gender disparities which earned income reflecting economic independence. While GDI focuses on expansion of capabilities and GEM is concerned with the use of those capabilities to take advantage of opportunities in life. While the GDI and GEM added a new dimension to the report, they were criticized for being too narrow and limited in disorder grasp the issue of deprivation. To highlight the levels of deprivation, the Human Poverty Index HPI was developed in 1997. The HPI focuses on the same dimensions as HDI as it concentrates on deprivation in standard of living, knowledge and longevity. Human poverty goes beyond income poverty. It includes deprivation in education and lifespan as determinants of poverty. If human development is about enlarging choices, poverty here means that opportunities and choices most basic to HD are denied. Human development is constantly evolving concept. The HD measurements also undergo refinements. The global HDR for 2010, marking the 20th anniversary of Human Development Report, takes stock, reflects and moves forward the concepts, measures and key debates around human development. Now, let us see into the human development in India. When India became independent in 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru stressed the importance of the task that lay ahead of ending poverty, ignorance, disease and inequality of opportunity. As the first 5-year plan was launched, it however did not spell out any specific planning strategy linking sectoral investment proposals to the objective of the plan. But in the second 5-year plan, the principles of socialistic pattern of society underlay the planning strategy and emphasized social gain. It puts stress on raising standards of living by raising national income through a rapid industrialization process with focus on heavy industry. This was expected to generate employment opportunities and reduce inequality in society through trickling down to the poorer sections in the society. The plan also placed emphasis on comprehensive village planning, taking the more vulnerable parts of the population such as landless farmers and artisans into account. It was in addition pointed out that national planning should always be carried out in a manner which takes the programs of the national, state and district plans into consideration. During the 60s and 70s and 80s, most of the focus was however put on accelerating economic growth, savings and investments. This was nothing unique to India, but was the dominating approach to development in most developing countries, as the belief in the trickle down effect to solve the issue of poverty was strong. Inadequacy of tackling poverty through this strategy was recognized by the Government of India. The equity objective was sought to be pursued through redistribution of assets, but land reforms could not be implemented effectively. The problem of poverty could not be tackled through growth, which itself was slow over a long period of time. During 1990s, India introduced economic reforms aiming at liberalizing the economy through various initiatives. But as stated in the 8th 5-year plan 1992-97, the 8th plan is being launched at time which marks a turning point in both international and the domestic economic environment. Centralized economies are disintegrating all over the world. On the other hand, economies of several regions are integrating under a common philosophy of growth, guided by the market forces and liberal policies. The emphasis is on autonomy and efficiency induced by competition. We cannot remain untouched by these trends. We have to draw lessons from the development experience of other nations during the last 4 decades, where it inspired by the publication of the first global HDR. It was at the same time recognized that these liberalization efforts should be combined with a more direct focus on human development. Human development will be ultimate goal of 8th plan. It is towards this that employment generation, population control, literacy, education, health, drinking water and provision of adequate food and basic infrastructure are listed as the priorities. Beginning with the 8th 5-year plan, the 5-year plans continue to be firmly set within the human development paradigm. Addressing human development in India is of vital importance, since a large portion of the population is living below poverty line and income inequalities are rising day by day. It is estimated that more than 800 million Indians live on less than 20 rupees per day. The disparities exist across the states, along rural urban lines and across the groups. More than 60% of women are chronically poor. The percentage of poor among scheduled tribes and scheduled castes remains high. More than 296 million people are illiterate and 233 million are suffering from malnutrition. The workforce participation for women is half of that for men, and almost 96% of women work in the informal sector. The recently released mid-term statistical appraisal of MDGs shows that India lags behind MDG achievement in several targets relating to hunger, child and maternal mortality, reversal of malaria and other major diseases. As stated in the current 5-year plan, the 11th plan began in very favorable circumstances, with the economy having grown at the rate of 7.7% per year in the 10th plan period. However, far too many of our people still lack the basic requirements for a decent living in terms of nutrition standards, basic health, access to education and to other public services such as water supply and sewerage. The disadvantaged groups, especially the scheduled caste and the tribes and the minorities, have benefited less than they should have. Regional imbalances have emerged across and even within states. Human development reports in India, inspired by the global HDRs and the human development paradigm introduced in the 8th 5-year plan, some states in India started preparing subnational HDRs, and major states in India are comparable in area and population on size to important countries of other continents. Under the Indian Constitution, states have the responsibility for subjects such as education, health, agriculture, etc. And from 1950s onwards, state governments in India have been involved in the process of planning for economic and social development. In the first state, HDRs prepared by Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka were prepared and funded by their respective state governments. This is also true that the 3 following SHDRs prepared by Madhya Pradesh government, inspired by these independently prepared state human development reports in Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka, the Planning Commission and UNDP agreed to collaborate on developing capacity and creating awareness of human development in Indian states, so that more states engaged in the preparation of state human development reports. The Planning Commission collaboration on human development consequently resulted in 2 projects. The first one aiming at developing capacity for preparing SHDRs and the second aiming at integrating human development into state and district plans. The overall focus of both the projects was on creating an enabling environment for realizing human development through capacity development by conducting various kinds of training activities and by creating awareness of human development among the stakeholders through advocacy and outreach. At the UNDP Indian Country Office, a dedicated unit was established consisting of a dedicated team who was responsible for guiding the overall work on human development in India. This included developing partnerships with state governments, advocacy for human development at various government and non-government fora, steering the process of preparation of state HDRs to make it more participatory exercise, developing and fostering a network of institutions and experts that could engage in human development analysis. During the second phase, human development research and coordination units were also set up in each partner State Planning Department, the board, the commission to assist in the implementation of the project. Capacity building for preparation of state human development reports 1999-2005. This project aimed to support states in preparing state level human development reports. The project supported and developed capacity in the states to prepare SHDRs. Improvement in district and sub-district level, the data systems and databases, especially with regard to gender and disaggregated indicators, was also addressed. States have prepared state HDRs which have provided state governments with data highlighting the interstate and intrastate disparities. In particular, the disaggregation of the data at district level has brought into sharp focus the district requiring immediate attention on the HD outcomes. The report strengthening state plans for human development 2004-2009, this second planning commission UNDP project aimed at going beyond the mere preparation of HDRs in order to practically operationalize HD and make it an integral tool in the state and district planning processes. Under this project, state plan processes and dialogue were intended to be strengthened to focus more on human development concerns. To sum up the lesson, the concept of human development emerged in the late 1980s based on the conceptual foundation provided by Dr. Amartya Sen and Dr. Mahbub-ul-Haq. The HD approach puts people at the center of the development agenda, where economic growth and wealth are considered means to development and not an end by itself, and India has decentralized and integrated the human development concept into its development agenda at national, state as well as district and municipality level. The more subnational HDRs have been produced in India than in any other country. More HDRs have been produced in India than the total number of global HDRs. A distinctive feature of the HDR preparation on process is the firm state ownership and multi-stakeholder partnerships. This has enabled the policy dialogue on crucial HD issues.